265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Since 1999, residents of Tuscaloosa has depended on this butcher shop and grocery store. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats. With their specialty meats and fresh to frozen bulk vegetables, you can prepare delicious home-cooked meals all week long. At South's Finest Meats, customer service is their number one priority, and when you shop with them, you can expect to be treated like an MVP. Go by and check out South's Finest Meats at 3201 10th Avenue right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show. There is now a 2-game tie atop the SEC standings in college basketball with Alabama and Tennessee both winning last night. We will jump in there and discuss that ball game with Chris Lee from Southeastern 14. Plus, we will talk a little diamond of SEC baseball. That's all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get things rocking and rolling.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good, kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah, but then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9. With the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And ladies and gentlemen, with all of that, we want to welcome you inside another edition of the Stingray Show on Heath. A leap day, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Stephen. Stephen, do you know anyone that has a birthday today? I have one friend from right after I graduated college. I was a young reporter. She was my neighbor, Leah Massey. Leah, happy birthday. I always tease her. I'm like, what are you, like 12 now, 14? What, you know, because she only gets a birthday once every 4 years. So good for her.
So Heath, I do want to start off the show briefly talking about the leap day in traditions. All right. So this tradition has its origin in the 5th century Ireland, that on this day allows women to actually propose marriage to a man on leap day.
Stand in line, take a number. Tell them, Stingray.
So,
ladies, you got to wait in line for 4 years to ask me to marry you.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, we're starting to see it at minor league ballparks and things. You know the stage kiss cam, Stephen. You know, where the guy won't kiss his girl, like he's pretending he's on the phone or whatever, and another guy walks up and kisses the girl and kiss cam. You know, we've seen that. We're starting to see in minor league ballparks where the girl is proposing to the guy and the guy says no, and like everyone boos him. So I mean, it's like a cheap wrestling pop. So, but yeah, it's kind of fun, man.
Also, because of that custom, today is known as, in some countries, as Bachelor's Day as well, due to the fact that women in early Ireland tradition in the 5th century proposed to men for marriage on leap day. So there, of course, is your little bit of history about leap day. So Heath, let's go on ahead and keep the fun going a little bit And let's go on ahead and give everybody our Fave 5 today. Now, what we're going to do today is our Fave 5 national non-fast food restaurant chains such as Longhorn, Olive Garden, Logan's Roadhouse. Those kind of chains are the favorite ones that we're going to do today. We're not adding fast food to this one because personally I feel like fast food is disgusting and it is very bad for your health.
The haterade.
So
yeah. This is where our life differs, Stephen. With 4 kids and you come home from the ballpark after 2 games and it's one of those things where you're heading home and it's almost 9 o'clock at night. My wife's like, I'm not cooking anything. You better swing by, drop us off, let the kids get showers, and you go get Zaxby's. So that's fine by me. Wings and things. Right. Hot honey mustard. Let's do it. All
right. So, Heath, here are my non-fast food Fave 5 restaurant chains. At number 5, I'm actually going with Olive Garden. Okay. However, I have not been to Olive Garden in about 4 or 5 years, but when I went the last time, it was absolutely amazing right here in Tuscaloosa. So that, of course, is why I put Olive Garden on my list. At number 4, I'm actually going with a chain that is not very well known, but they actually have one right here in Tuscaloosa. It is called Buffalo's Cafe, that was originally opened in Buffalo, New York, surrounding the Buffalo Wings back in 1985, and they actually now have 15 full-service restaurants throughout the country. So number 4 is going to be Buffalo's Cafe. Number 3 is also a chain that not very many people know about, and that, of course, is Half Shell Oyster House. They actually have one in Biloxi, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, as well as Spanish Fort, Pelham, Alabama, and then, of course, they've got one down in Baton Rouge and Covington, Louisiana. So Half Shell Oyster House that is right here in Tuscaloosa, they are actually a chain restaurant. At number 2, I'm going with Walk-On's Sports Bistro. That is also a chain out of the great state of Louisiana. And number 1, Heath, our chain closed a long time ago, but I was always a fan of this restaurant. At number 1, Heath, I'm going with the restaurant Chili's. I absolutely love Chili's. And dude, I was so upset when ours closed. The closest one to us now is up in Homewood, up in the Birmingham metro area.
That's a solid list, Stephen. I like that, man. I like that a lot. I'm quite impressed with that list.
Go ahead with your 5, buddy.
My 5, I'm going to go with Cheddar's, number 5. Yes. I think Cheddar's is some good stuff. I'm going to go with...
Which, by the way, Tuscaloosa is horrible for chain restaurants. We had a Cheddar's. It closed. Chili's closed. Ruby Tuesday's closed here. And, of course, O'Charlie's closed. So chain restaurants do not look for Tuscaloosa because it is a bad omen to come here and have a restaurant here. Just saying.
Yeah, that sounds like it. That sounds like it, man. That's kind of tough. You remember last year when Tennessee fans were hating on Hattiesburg, Mississippi because they had to go to Hattiesburg for the regional? And they were like, you can't even keep a Chili's open in Hattiesburg.
No, it was Applebee's.
It was Applebee's. That's what it was. That's what it was. What a bunch of jerks. What a bunch of jerks. Those Tennessee Vols, anyway. But yeah, number 5, Cheddar's. Love Cheddar's. One of my wife's favorites. Number 4, I love it. I would eat it almost every day, Stephen. Their fries are amazing. The burgers are amazing. I'm going with Five Guys. I love Five Guys.
That's a fast food, bro.
Nope. If there's a drive-through window, it's fast food. Gotcha. If there's not a drive-through window, it's not fast food.
Okay.
That's how I determine it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Number 3, P.F. Chang's. Number 2, I'm surprised this didn't make it on your list, Crackle Barrel. I love Crackle Barrel, man. Breakfast, I can eat that breakfast every day. That's some good stuff, man. That's some good stuff. And number 1, I love this place. I only get to eat it like twice a year. Bahama Breeze. I love going to Bahama Breeze, man. That is some great stuff. It doesn't matter if it's the fish. It doesn't matter if it's the vegetables. It doesn't matter if you're going with drinks. But I'm a big fan of Bahama Breeze. Do y'all have one down there?
We do not. No, never heard of it.
Oh, man, you are missing out. Bahama Breeze is big time, man.
All right, so we're going to stop talking about food, I promise. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by Chris Lee from Southeastern 14 to talk about college basketball and, of course, the Diamond. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, 205-371-2227, or go by and see them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC. Do you guys like to fish? I know I do, and if you have a pond or lake in your backyard that needs stocking of fish, you need to contact biologist Jeff Bagwell with Honey Hole Fisheries. He can help you stock your lake with bluegill, largemouth bass, and hybrid striped bass. You can get in touch with Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Honey Hole Fisheries, 205-799-0192. Contact Mr. Jeff Bagwell today and let him help you build the lake of your dreams. Do you guys dream about owning a home or a condominium down on the beautiful beaches of Alabama, say Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, or maybe even Fairhope? Then let me tell you about First Class Real Estate South Home Group's owner, Celeste Hagler. She has brokers down there in the beautiful beaches of Alabama to help you purchase the home of your dreams and to live where you love in the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste Hagler at 205-861-5698. Contact Celeste Hagler today to help you live where you love in the state of Alabama.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Watch for an accident in the left lane northbound on Veterans Memorial Parkway at University Boulevard. We also have an accident just cleared out on Union Chapel Road at Highway 69.
High quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974. Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you guys. And now we are about to get to our very special guest this evening, who is the owner of Southeastern 14, as we bring him on every single week to talk about college basketball and college baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Chris Lee. Chris, how are things going with you up there in Middle Tennessee?
Things are well. Great time to be alive. We're getting close to March Madness. We got baseball here. Lots of fun stuff going on.
So, Chris, let's go ahead and talk about it off the top of the show. Tennessee knocked off Auburn last night when Connett had 39 points in that basketball game last night. Auburn just cannot get it together, it seems, on the road this year. Your thoughts on that huge win for Tennessee last night over Auburn?
Well, Auburn's in a large club of teams that can't get it together on the road. So they're hardly alone there. Look, I thought these were the best two teams in the SEC. I still think they're the best two teams in the SEC because they're the most two complete teams, although Auburn's got a hole in the three-point shooting, I believe. But I think the most complete team won, and the team maybe the best player won, too. Dalton Knecht not only had 39, I think he had 25 in the last 12 when the game was on the line. Everybody knew where the ball was going. Nobody could stop it, and that made for Player of the Year / first team All-American type stuff.
So let's go on ahead and talk about the other game last night between Ole Miss and Alabama. Alabama started off really slow in that basketball game, but did defeat Ole Miss 103-88. Your thoughts on the Crimson Tide as they need to keep pace with Tennessee at the top of the SEC standings? Yeah,
I mean, I've lost count now. That's 700-800-point games. I mean, Alabama, it came off a horrible performance, and sometimes a team in that spot is a team that's motivated, and this was a team that was motivated. Fell behind, 13, 14 points the first half, whatever it turned out to be. Had a nice run right before halftime to cut it to within 3, and then Alabama just took over in the second half. Felt like Ole Miss never really had a chance after Alabama got going. I mean, same thing as always for the Crimson Tide. It's balanced scoring. They got 6 guys in double figures. Mark Sears, who also would be on that short list of Player of the Year guys, had 26 points, and Alabama keeps doing what it's doing. It's not a good defensive team. Nado's called his team out for that, but when you could score 103 points, you just have to be good enough to win, and that's most often what Alabama's been.
So, Chris, I'm going to make a very bold statement here, and I want to get your reaction on this. A lot of people are saying that this team is a dangerous team and a lock for the NCAA tournament. I'm going to say it right now on the show. Mississippi State will not make the big dance this year for one reason and one reason only. They will lose a game or two down the stretch that they don't need to because they are 61% as a team from the free throw line. That has cost them dearly in games this year, and that will cost them a trip to the big dance. It is embarrassing, and at this point, it is inexcusable for a team to be 61% from the free throw line. Your thoughts, Chris?
I could buy them losing a game they're not supposed to, but I think unless they go 0 for the last 3, which, hey, at Auburn, at Texas A&M, South Carolina, could happen. I don't think it will. Yes, they're bad from the line. I get it. They're not a great 3-point shooting team outside of Josh Hubbard. Not even a good 3-point shooting team outside of him. But they are what they are, and there are probably Stephen, a dozen teams between them and the edge of the bubble. And if you notice, a lot of those teams are having trouble winning right now. And so I think they might be able to lose out and still get in at this point. Right. I think, to me, a scenario in which State gets left out of the tournament seems a lot more unlikely than not, just because there's not much left to play. And I think there's a lot of teams behind them that have got to do work to get in just to catch where State is at the moment.
So, Chris, let's talk about the team that Mississippi State lost to on Tuesday evening, the Kentucky Wildcats. Now, that is a dangerous basketball team when you want to get them in the NCAA tournament. You do not want to see them in your bracket if you are a number 1 or number 2 seed, because Kentucky right now, they are ascending and they are on fire right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It's a team. I think there's 3 teams in this league. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks. Alabama, Kentucky, Florida, very much alike. They are elite offensive teams. They are shaky defensive teams. And with Kentucky, some nights it shows up. And if it shows up, boy, look out. They've got a lot of parts, though. I think they're an interesting team because the way they match up night in, night out is different than probably anybody else out there. You see Big Z playing some nights. You see Onyenso playing some other nights. You see some nights Rob Dillingham is a lead dog. Some nights Rob Dillingham is less of a guy. I mean, it's a very interesting team. But we've established this as a team that can score a lot of points and can beat a lot of teams. But let's also not forget this team not long ago lost to a Gonzaga team that at home that is very bubblish and lost on the road to LSU. So I think we get very hung up in what a team has done its last performance or two. And Kentucky's a young team. It's very inconsistent. So I wouldn't write off a face plant either. Yeah.
So Chris, my final question about college basketball before we transition into baseball is this. This past Saturday, we had a court storming incident there at Wake Forest where a fan came onto the court and injured a Duke player. That is now the second player to be injured by a fan coming on. Earlier this year, Caitlin Clark had to be taken back to the locker room because she got injured by a fan coming onto the court. Chris, what are your thoughts on court storming? Are you for it, or are you one of these people that say do away with it?
How about a third option? Let's keep it, and let's keep it under control. Let's have a 3-minute cooling off period to where we get the other team off the floor, we get everybody off the floor, we get the winning team in the middle of the floor. We plead with fans, hey, let's watch what we're doing. Let's not knock other people over, and then let's celebrate. I think you can have it both ways. It's shocking to me that it's taken this long. So I say let's give it a cooling off period and let them go at it, because that's the fun of college basketball. But let's do it in a way that doesn't get somebody hurt. And fortunately, Kyle Filipowski has played since and wasn't as bad as we thought. But it's only a matter of time. So let's get that out of the game.
All right, Chris, one rapid fire question as we sit right here on Leap Day. Going ahead and give us who you think is winning the SEC outright in the regular season. Tennessee, Alabama, or someone else?
Let's see. Alabama's tied or a half game ahead this morning. I hadn't seen the standings. I think, I think it's Alabama, because Alabama's hosting Tennessee Saturday, and it's got Arkansas, and in the meantime it goes to Florida, which will not be easy. We saw those teams play once. Tennessee, in the meantime, has got to go to South Carolina, which beat it, and it's got to it hosts Kentucky, which almost sometimes is better on the road than at home. I'm going to give the nod to Alabama just on the basis. I think Tennessee's a better team, but I'll give the nod to Alabama on the basis of the current standings and where that game is.
Gotcha. So on that note, Chris, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to transition into the Diamond and talk about a couple of big games this upcoming weekend. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back with Chris Lee talking about SEC baseball. Strange Brew Coffee House continues to roll out brand new drinks, including the Yosemite, which is white chocolate and roasted marshmallow. Doesn't that sound amazing? You can find Strange Brew at 1101 University Boulevard, right there on the strip at the University of Alabama campus. And hey, did you know that you can get Strange Brew delivered to your door? Check out StrangeBrewCoffeehouse.com for all the Strange Brews bags of coffee, K-Cups, mugs, shirts, and a whole lot more right there at StrangeBrewCoffeehouse.com. Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods. Your life can change on a dime, and if you are relocating for your job up to the Rocket City of Huntsville, the fastest growing city in the state of Alabama, you need to contact Celeste Hagler of First Class Real Estate South Home Group. She has brokers all over North Alabama to help you get settled with buying a new home in North Alabama. You can contact her at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is Celeste Hagler.
With Audible, We could go anywhere. There's more to imagine when we listen. Hear the latest audiobooks, podcasts, and originals at audible.com.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is Chris Lee from Southeastern 14. And now let's go on ahead and touch on a little bit of the Diamond as we are going to talk about college baseball. And before we get going into any of these matchups so far this weekend, Chris, go on ahead and give us a couple of teams that have caught your eye over the first few weeks of the season in the SEC.
I think Texas A&M's at the top of that list. We knew A&M would probably hit with Braden Montgomery and Jay Slavalette. That's about as good a 1-2 punch as you have anywhere in the country. What we didn't know is if they would pitch. I know they need to change at pitching coach, and that was trumpeted as a great move after guy whose name escapes me went to LSU. Yeah. But Nate Yeske, that's who it is. Mm-hmm. Hey, but look, Aggies may be getting the last laugh. Now, they haven't really played much of anybody yet, but they were not getting out bad hitters a year ago. They're doing that now. They're not giving up base runners. Ryan Prager has been excellent on Friday nights. He didn't pitch for them a year ago. He looks like a different guy coming back after injury. That's one team that has caught my eye. I think Tennessee has caught my eye a little bit. Tennessee really hasn't played. Well, I take that back. They played that series against the Big 12 and came out 2-1. I thought going into the season, people might be sleeping on Tennessee's pitching a little bit. They had guys who were going from bullpen roles to rotation roles and had done well in their limited work. It was just a question of, can they handle a bigger workload? I think so far the answer appears to be yes. I think the Alabamas have caught my eye. Both those teams have played really well. Alabama stayed unbeaten after an extra innings win over UAB the other night. I think Rob Walton has done a good job there. He really hit the portal and brought in some pitching to replace the pitching that he lost. I think Auburn's in the same boat. Butch Thompson always just has his teams overachieving. I think they've got a middle of the order that's pretty competitive. We'll see if they can string it together pitching-wise, but they've got Gonzalez back. And finally, Georgia's kind of caught my eye a little bit too, because Georgia also made a coaching change, and I think they've got some bats. Last I checked, they lead the SEC in home runs. Now, I think they might lead the SEC in giving them up, too. I don't know if that's a product of the roster or if that's a product of the ballpark. Could be both. But Georgia might be winning some 14-12 type games on Sunday, and they were unbeaten, I think, until yesterday. So that might be one to watch, too.
So, Chris, there is a monumental game this weekend, or I should say series this weekend in the state of South Carolina. You've got number 19 South Carolina hosting number 10 Clemson there at South Carolina, and South Carolina comes into this game at 8-1. Clemson comes in at 7-1. Tomorrow night is the first game of that series. How do you see the Gamecocks versus the Tigers? How do you see that rivalry playing out this weekend on the Diamond?
Well, I would be lying if I told you I had an intimate knowledge of Clemson's roster. I know that Clemson's been a little wonky at times, took a bad loss the other night, and I think has been a little shaky here and there. South Carolina, to me, right there with a lot of these SEC teams, really good middle of the order. I thought that was a team a year ago until the injuries hit. Was an Omaha team and maybe better than that. I thought they were as good as any team I saw heading into about the middle of April, and then the injury struck. To me, does Carolina have the pitching? We'll wait and see on that. They've got a couple of good returning arms. Do they have enough? I don't know. They're on the list of teams that really hasn't played much of anybody yet in terms of SEC caliber foes. This weekend's got a chance to tell us something.
So, Chris, let's move to another big game tomorrow evening, and that one is going to be in the Astros Foundation Classic, which is there in Houston. It is going to be the Longhorns of Texas versus LSU, the defending national champions. That game is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on the Longhorn Network. Chris, how do you see that one playing out?
Well, LSU was a team that I think was my preseason number one in the SEC, but there were some questions. You don't have a Skeens, you don't have a Cruz, and I think they had a lot of hitting options who got squeezed out a year ago that I thought would be just fine. They'd plug in and they'd keep on going with, by the way, better pitching depth, better pitching staff overall, even without Skeens. So far, it hadn't played out quite that way. I mean, they've been fine, but I don't know that this is a team that is completely quelched the pitching concerns. The lineup has not been just scare your socks off lineup that you saw a year ago. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see how it goes for the Tigers. Do they have the top end pitching? Thatcher Hurd's been really shaky so far. You didn't want to see that if you're LSU. He's a very talented kid who transferred from UCLA 2 years ago, but he's never really put it together for long stretches. I think we thought last year in Omaha he found that. I don't know. We'll find out more whether he has or hasn't, but I think this is going to be an interesting test for LSU, and it may take that team a little bit more time than we thought to replace some of those guys that it lost.
All right, so let's go to the hometown team here. Alabama goes to Frisco, Texas to take on Indiana, then Arizona on Saturday, and then Dallas Baptist on Sunday. How do you see Alabama faring out there in Frisco, Texas?
I think they'll hold their own. This is a team that I like the pitching preseason. You need to see it. But, I mean, they got Hess, Quick, Davis, Moza. They added a couple of guys from smaller schools that have had big workloads before. They got a lot of guys that have pitched a good number of innings at the Division I level. That's something that some teams don't always have. TJ McCants has been a real, I don't know if you'd say surprise for them. I guess surprise based on what he did a year ago at Ole Miss, but that was under adverse circumstances when he lost his mom. Sometimes you just need a second chance and a start over somewhere else. He's responded very well to that so far. Gage Miller, the JUCO kid, has really hit the ball well for them. This is the team that I looked at them on paper before the season, and I said, I think the pitching's going to be there. I don't know about the hitting. And so far, Alabama's gotten both, but the competition gets a lot stiffer this weekend.
All right. And finally, Florida, the Gators are on the road down at Miami, and that is another rivalry game. Go on ahead and give us your thoughts about the Gators and the Hurricanes down there in Miami this weekend.
Big series for Florida. I think the presumption was that Florida's arms would be kind of elite. So far, it's been a little shakier than they wanted. I was talking with Nick De La Torre yesterday. We were talking a little bit off air before we did some football stuff, but I think Cade Fisher has had some issues locating some breaking stuff. They've had a midweek loss to Stetson, lost the opening game to St. John's. Those aren't bad teams, but they're probably not Miami level either. I think Florida's got a little bit of a way to go. I think the bats will be there. The pitching is, they've got a lot of talented guys, but in terms of proven guys, it's not a staff that stacks up with some of the rest of the league. I mean, they're not bad. They're certainly above average, but there is not, a Waldrop or somebody like they had a year ago that has really proven themselves at the D1 level over a full course of a starting season. I'm very interested to see what we get with the Gators this weekend.
So, Chris, look, man, thank you as always for joining us and going ahead and let everybody know right here in Tuscaloosa about Southeastern 14 and where they can find it.
Yeah, we cover SEC football, baseball, basketball, heavy emphasis on basketball right now. We're going to be previewing every SEC game for the weekend as we always do. We recap the Saturday games, the Tuesday games, the Wednesday games. If you want a 30,000-foot view on the league in basketball, baseball, and football, I think we do as good a job as anybody. And you can go to YouTube and find us at Southeastern 14 as well as wherever you get most of your audio podcasts.
Awesome. Chris, thank you, man. Once again, have a wonderful weekend and week next week, and we will catch up with you this time next week.
It's always a pleasure, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
So that is going to do it for the interview there with Chris Lee. We hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed it. And guys, when we come back after a quick break, we are going to play for you the part 2 of the Stephen M. Smith interview that we were not able to air last night due to time constraints. So we will be right back on the Stingray Show with Stephen M. Smith talking Alabama baseball and other things as well. We will be right back. Since 1999, residents of Tuscaloosa has depended on this butcher shop and grocery store. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats. With their specialty meats and fresh to frozen bulk vegetables, you can prepare delicious home-cooked meals all week long. At South's Finest Meats, customer service is their number one priority, and when you shop with them, you can expect to be treated like an MVP. Go by and check out South's Finest Meats at 3201 10th Avenue right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show. Residents of Tuscaloosa, are you guys upsizing, downsizing, looking for college housing, or even relocating for your job right here to Tuscaloosa? If that's the case, then you need to contact Celeste Hagler, owner and operator of First Class Real Estate South Home Group. She can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Reach out to Celeste again at 205-861-5698 and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals and to live where you love in the state of Alabama. Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Watch for ongoing construction on McWright's Ferry Road. The area is being extended down to Rice Mine Road. Also, lane closures are in preparation for work on the new 69 flyover bridge.
Download BetU for iOS on the App Store today. Learn more about BetU by visiting their website, betu.us. That's bet.u.us.
Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, 205-371-2227, or go by and see them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC. Welcome back inside of our final segment right here on the Stingray Show, and now we are about to play for you guys the part 2 of the Stephen M. Smith interview that we were not able to air last night due to time constraints. So guys, let's go on ahead and get to the second half of the Stephen M. Smith interview talking about Alabama baseball.
Stephen, I'm going to jump topics very quickly. Alabama baseball has been smoking red hot, has started the season red hot.
Yeah.
I am so impressed with Alabama baseball, how they ended the season last year with all the drama. They ended on a high note, and then they come out this season just on fire. If you are not watching Alabama baseball, what are you doing with your life? This is a good team, and they might actually be great.
Coach Rob Vaughn has come in here and has done an unbelievable job. Mm-hmm. You look at the turmoil that you went through with Coach Bohannon. Of course, he's gone. He's got this huge show calls right now on him. What Coach Vaughn has done, he has brought energy. He has brought fire. He has brought consistency. You look at the pitching. The pitching has been on point so far for Alabama. The pitching's been strong here, and that's one of the things that Bama struggled with under Coach Bohannon is not having consistent pitching, not having those aces in the starting rotation to really shut opposing offenses down. And then the hitting, you've got timely bats coming through. You got power. You got real power in this lineup. Guys knocking home runs. But not just that, situational hitting. Situational moments to where you're stealing bases, you're getting on base, you're driving in runs. It's the situational baseball. It's the pitching of it all. I mean, it's the power. Rob Vaughn has come in here. He's put his hands on this program, and they're playing with nothing to lose.
You know, looking at what's happening with Alabama baseball, and again, if you're not watching, you need to go check yourself. But fun weekend coming up for Alabama. You have got Indiana, Arizona, and Dallas Baptist. And don't be laughing at Dallas Baptist. Baptist can bring it. Dallas Baptist is usually ranked. But, man, fun weekend. Indiana, a top 20 school. Arizona, a blue blood in college baseball, many national titles. Dallas Baptist is that team that you don't want to mess with. They always have pitching. Fun weekend coming up for the Tide.
And Heath, let me also piggyback off of that. That is in Frisco, Texas, and therefore a tournament there in Frisco, Texas. Stephen, give us your thoughts.
This is going to be a big week, guys. This is going to be a big week. You got some powers. You got some powers competing. You got some powers dominating. It's going to be fun. And the big thing for Alabama and Rob Vaughn is going to be, those first 3 to 4 innings, right? Feeling it out. Those first 3 to 4 innings with the pitching, the first 3 to 4 innings with the lineup, being able to, especially batting-wise, get under that pitcher's skin and rip off some good pitches. Foul off some good pitches, rip off some good pitches, draw some walks. And here's the big thing. When you get runners in scoring position, bring them in. You get bats on second and third base, bring them home. That's the big thing for Alabama. When you got runners in scoring position, capitalize on those moments. And it doesn't have to be the long ball. Get you a single. Get you a double into the gap. Just find ways to bring runners around. It's going to be a huge emphasis from Rob Vaughn this week.
So, Stephen, I do want to switch back to college basketball briefly because there is a major topic right now across the entire landscape of college basketball, and it has to deal with what happened on Saturday, Wake Forest versus Duke, with the court storming and the Duke player getting injured there by a fan coming onto the court. Stephen, you have covered a lot of college basketball. Give us your thoughts on should we stop court storming or should we keep it a thing? Your thoughts.
This is a very touchy topic, right? Because it can be dangerous. People can get trampled. People can get seriously hurt. But then what makes it touchy is when you win, and especially when you win a marquee game, fans want to feel like they're part of the action. And that's why they storm the court. And it brings that level of joy and excitement to college sports that we don't see everywhere else. So this is a very touchy, this is a hot button topic. Because as much as you want to have order and structure around it, you don't want to lose the joy and the excitement of it. Now, at the same time, we do also have to have that level of common sense where, okay, people, we can't sit there and just hurt people, trampling on them. You got to have that air of common sense. But at the same time, we already look at some areas of collegiate sports starting to turn to a professional game, especially when you look at college football and the NIL and players getting paid. And you're already starting to see a lot of fans look at, well, is college football now becoming the National Football League? But at the same time, you want to have that area of structure. So it's a hot topic. It's tough. It's tough. And even Greg Byrne talked about there needs to be more structure. There needs to be a fine there when you have people storming the court and getting trampled there. So Greg Byrne has even put his 2 cents in, as he's always been more of a basketball guy than a football guy anyway, despite coming to Alabama and running this program as the athletics director. So it's going to be intriguing to see how these APs and how these people, how these major powers go about it. But Stingray and Heath, it is a hot button topic.
You know, Stephen, you mentioned something, and I'm going to get your take on one thing real quick as we're going up against a break. You mentioned Greg Byrne. Eli Gold got let go last week. Eli did not want to be let go. Eli did not want more money. Eli's health is fine. Eli wanted to keep calling Alabama games. I do not understand the thought process in this. Greg Byrne had a problem with Dr. Hank Flick at Mississippi State, forced him out. Hank Flick had 4 decades over there as a public address announcer, Eli being a play-by-play announcer. What happened there? Because if we ask the fans what they want Eli. I don't understand why anyone's not holding this accountable to the decision makers. We should bring back Eli. What did you hear?
Okay, so here's the thing here. So Eli Gold mentioned he's fine. Healthy as a horse, he's okay. He actually wanted one more season.
Right.
He wanted one more season, and then they could transition to Chris Stewart. However, the university looked at this as, okay, last year you didn't have the same fire that you normally have in broadcasting games. Well, the man battled a serious illness. He's coming off cancer.
Yeah.
So what do you expect? And, of course, I look at this as you're transitioning from Nick Saban. Is this a move where, okay, with Saban retiring, let's transition away from things that remind us of Coach Saban and do this whole thing new, which I can see that. But at the same time, even if you're going to do that, you at least honor Eli Gold by giving him the A-Day game. If you're going to do that, if you're going to make this full-fledged transition, at least call Eli in and say, okay, Eli, we're trying to make this full-fledged transition from Nick Saban, but we're going to at least honor you with all that you've done these last 36 years by allowing you, by giving you the A-Day game, or at least giving you one more season. It was not properly handled well. It was not. You have so many fans. There are fans that are angry. There are fans that are very upset. There are fans that are highly bothered by this. It's not the fact that they don't respect what Chris Stewart does. They love Chris. They highly respect Chris. It was Greg Byrne and the powers above did not handle this with the care that it should have been handled with.
I mean, if we give it a grade, it's not an F. It's like close to 0. This is highly disrespectful to a man who has given almost 40 years, 35, 36 years to the University of Alabama and Crimson Tide football. This is a travesty, and this is a very bad look and a joke, and I think heads should roll. I think people should be held accountable for this decision. This is absolutely wrong what they did to Eli.
I mean, it is. And you look at not just, these 7 national championships he's called. Mm-hmm. I mean, 7 of them, 6 under Nick Saban. Of course, the 1992 one under Gene Stallings. Mm-hmm. We look at when Alabama had lost a lot of the championship luster with Franchione and Dubose and Price, never coached a game. And of course, Shula. I mean, you still had Eli Gold right there, giving you the greatest calls he could give you right there. You look at so many just iconic moments. He captured every last one of them. Just every last one of them. And a guy that was right there, that if you were a fan that was not inside Bryant-Denny, he pulled you in Bryant-Denny with just his voice and how he could capture and how he could paint the picture and how he could tell the story. And it was like, well, I don't need to be in the stadium. I got Eli Gold right here. Like, there were so many Bama fans that I would talk to on a daily basis when games were on CBS. They would say, I wouldn't even listen to Gary and Brad Nessler or Vern and Gary. I would turn off the CBS telecast and just have Eli Gold in the background. Mm-hmm. That's just how much he meant to Bama Nation, to where Bama Nation would turn off an ESPN audio and just have Eli Gold playing because he meant just that much to him. I'm telling you, man, if anything else, It may even bring you more revenue having them back one more year.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, look, man, enjoy this week of amazing action, and we will catch up later on down the line, my friend.
Thank you guys, man. Stingray Heath, this is fun, man. It's always fun being with you guys.
And
Stephen, be good, brother.
I'm going to leave you with this. I don't know if you can say it or not, but roll Tide, my man.
Hey, look at that. I can say it, roll Tide. They can't cancel me now. They can't do it now.
We'll see you later, man. Thank you.
All right.
So, guys, that was the always entertaining Stephen M. Smith. You gotta love him for his passion and his excitement, and we really do want to thank him for joining us on the Stingray Show, and that is going to wrap up another edition. When we come back on Monday evening, we will be joined by a former LSU player. There will be no Stingray Show tomorrow evening because Alabama takes on Indiana, so we hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend out there. Have a wonderful Friday, and do not forget NASCAR, of course, is in Las Vegas on Sunday afternoon for all of the NASCAR fans